What's going on, YouTube? So let's get started on this topic. So before I begin, hold on, excuse me. All right, before I begin, I just want to say thank you to all my subscribers. Thank you to everybody that supported me, liked, shared, commented on any of my videos. You guys are the real MVP. So the topic that I want to talk about is one of the jobs that I used to work, and maybe some of you guys can relate. So this job that I worked was a paraprofessional or slash teacher's assistant or slash mental health therapist. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up these names, and you guys should really start to get hip to these names in other jobs, is because these names are pretty much the same thing. They're the same thing. But a lot of these jobs, when they post a job, what I feel they're doing, they put a fancy name on a lot of these titles. And it sounds so fancy to you. And you start to think, oh yeah, that must be a high paying mental health therapist. What? They must be paying some money. And in actuality, it's like the same exact title or same amount of duties as something else. So don't be fooled by the titles, is what I'm saying. Because a lot of jobs will do that. They'll post these jobs with these fancy titles, but it's synonymous with another name. So, like I said, teacher's assistant, paraprofessional, mental health therapist. And I've worked in the educational system for over 15 years as a paraprofessional or teacher's assistant or mental health therapist, whichever one. So I've worked over 15 years, and don't get me wrong, I loved it. It was a new experience for me because it taught me how to learn how to understand children with mental disabilities, because that was the kind of children that I worked with. And let me tell you one thing, I loved these children. Like I grew so much love working with these children. And I treated them the exact same way as our typical children, because to be honest, they're the same. All of our children, we gotta love them the same. They may act differently, but they are children at the end of the day. So I remember this one boy that I used to work with. He was low functioning, meaning he didn't understand some of the things a typical child would understand at a younger age. He wouldn't know how to do certain things. Maybe tie his shoelace, read certain words. He wouldn't know any of those things. So this boy, he couldn't really communicate his needs. He was aggressive. I'm trying to remember some details about him. So he was aggressive. He used to take other children's food as well. So he couldn't really, it got down to a point where it was just the fact that he couldn't communicate his needs. He had needs that he wanted certain things, but he just couldn't communicate them. And there would be times where he would be aggressive towards someone. And I honestly think it wasn't in terms of I just want to be aggressive and I want to bite someone, but it was in frustration because he couldn't communicate what he wanted in the moment. And a lot of times he would like scream, like this loud shrieking scream. And it would startle a lot of the kids around him. It would startle a lot of the staff. And I would be the one to work with him. And one thing that I realized that they did, staff, upper staff. They kept me with this child. And don't get me wrong, I loved him, but he was a lot of work. I loved this child, but it was very challenging for me every day to come in and just have the patience. Like, I had the patience, but at the same time, it was like he was a lot. He had a lot of baggage coming with him, and you had to really be patient. You really had to understand him. You couldn't judge him. You had to really work with him to understand where he's coming from. He couldn't really communicate his needs, and he didn't have a talker. So a talker is a communication device that a lot of the kids need nowadays. Some kids cannot communicate their needs. They're incapable of communicating. So a talker would benefit a lot of these children. Excuse me. So it was frustrating because what I noticed what was going on as each year would end, they would keep me with this specific child. And I really had to think to myself, why are they doing that? Because what I would notice at the end of each school year is they usually would switch staff to different kids. They wouldn't keep you with the same child. But with me, they kept me with this particular child year after year. And I noticed it right away. And I said to myself, why don't they switch me? Like, don't get me wrong, I love this child, but at the same time, I needed a break. Like I said, he came with a lot of challenges. So I honestly wanted someone a little easier that I wouldn't have to be standing on guard most of the time or watching him so intently because I was scared he may be aggressive towards someone. So they honestly, what I feel, it kind of relays back to the point I had with some of my other videos. When you work very hard for people, sometimes they would rather discipline you than to tell you thank you. I'm going to say that again. Some people would prefer to discipline you for something that you did not do according to their protocol, rather than just say thank you for the hard work you've done. And a lot of times, like I said in my other video again, you have to applaud yourself. Stop waiting for employers to applaud you. Your arm should be hurting from the times that you applaud yourself. Do me a favor. Do this exercise. Take your hand. Do this. Just applaud yourself. Do it again. And just see how that feels to applaud yourself. And get used to doing that, because in a lot of these jobs, they are very thankless. They're very thankless jobs. And like I said, they would rather discipline you for something than just to tell you thank you for a job well done. They kept me with this child for 5 years. I've worked in this particular school, for 5 years. And they kept me with that child for 5 years. Now, what should that tell me? If everyone else around me, I was looking around, all the other staff were getting switched to different children. I even remember certain moments where I called off of work, and people got upset, or they asked where I was when I called off of work, because they were upset that they had to work with the child that I was working with. So that alone again told me, like, they can't handle the child that I'm working with. And it told me the work ethic that I put in to this school and with this child. It let me know right away that I was doing something right. that I was working very hard with this child. And this child, he definitely improved. I can honestly say that he improved. And to this day, I did hear some recent news about him. He's doing so much better, and I'm happy for this child. But I just think back to the times that I've worked so hard, and it's like I never got the praise that I feel like I deserved at that moment. Like no one came to me, and there was times where I tried to get promoted and get to a higher position, and they ended up hiring someone else because they had the credentials, but no experience. That's another topic for another day, I guess, right? People that get hired, they don't have the experience you have, but yet they may just have the extra degree and connection. You know those people. The people who get hired off of connection, you know, the family members, people that the boss just knows. They get pulled in real quick. It happens. And it happens right under our nose, where you can sit there for a company and work very hard and still not get that promotion. Trust me, it happens. It happens. So the point I'm trying to say is work hard for yourself. Work hard on the things you love to do. Continue to do your job. Don't get me wrong. Don't slack off on your job. Do what you need to do, but don't overly do what you do on your job. Don't put in extra sweat, blood, and tears if you don't have to on your job. Because my lesson to that was feeling underappreciated, just feeling underwhelmed. Like, what is happening? Like, why am I not? My mind state was different back then. It was different. I was looking for validation from a stranger, someone who didn't see me as anything else but a number or just a random employee. And that's why I said in my last video, you got to start applauding yourself. I'm going to do it again. Don't be afraid to applaud yourself, because when you applaud yourself, you're letting yourself know that you love yourself. You're letting yourself know that you acknowledge that you're doing a good job. Forget what they think. Forget what these other employees are thinking. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what they're thinking. If you know you're doing a good job, you need to applaud yourself. That's all that matters. We got to stop with this whole validation from other people. Because again, I think this comes from a missing aspect of self-love. I really do. Because I feel if we had true exalted self-love, would we truly need validation from anyone else that we're doing good? Would we need it? If you truly feel that self-love that you grew up with, that you understood and you were taught to enjoy your own company, enjoy what you do, enjoy the things that make you happy, enjoy just being in the moment with yourself and understanding these things. When you become an adult and you start working for someone now, wouldn't that self-love translate into you just understanding that your work ethic cannot be defined by someone else's validation? I think so. I don't think anyone's validation would matter at that point, because your confidence is at an all-time level at this point. You know who you are. You know your work ethic. You know what makes you happy, what makes you smile, the things that the living in the moment. You know how that feels. You know how it feels to enjoy your own company. So when you get amongst other people and be in their midst, now you understand, I love myself. I don't need anyone else. You guys are just a supplement at this point. If you bring good, good. If you don't bring good, I don't need you. And I think that's what self-love is teaching. Like when you really have it, you understand it. You understand that you don't need validation from the world. You don't. You don't need the validation from the world. Because a lot of people go around trying to impress strangers all the time. Think about it. Your boss, social media. Why are we trying to impress all of these people? Most of these people don't sleep with you in your own bed at night. The same people you sit up here and try to impress, they're not rubbing your back at night. Or are they? That may be another topic. But most of these people that I'm speaking about, they're not coming home with us. They're not doing the things that someone personable in our life is doing. They're just there for that temporary period of time. Our boss is not coming home with us. And if your boss is coming home with you, then you're living a different type of lifestyle right now. I know my boss is not coming home with me. That's for damn sure. That's for sure. But like I said, this job, I love doing this job. And I did it for over 15 years. And it was a job that I wish would have, I wish I could have said more about it right now. Like it will always be in my mind as one of the jobs that I actually loved the kids. I just didn't love everything else around me. Like I didn't love the fact that I cared so much to a point where it was like I expected someone to help. And to be honest, there was no help. There was no resources for these kids. I didn't receive the help that needed to take care of these kids properly. And I think that was a very frustrating thing for me. Not receiving help for the kids that just need that help. And it just stood out for me one day. And I just looked up at the sky and I just asked God, why? Like, why am I trying so hard to be in a school system that it just seems like no one cares? And it just made me think, like, again, another 9 to 5 that I just felt like, I don't know if I'm making a difference. Like, I know I'm making a difference in one way with this child in particular, or children in general that I've worked with. But at the same time, it just felt like, man, I could have done more if I were to receive the help that I asked for. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Think about some jobs that you guys worked. What jobs have you worked that you've just had that you felt you worked very hard at, and you just feel like it didn't account to as much as you wanted it to account for? Please like, share, and subscribe this video. I love you guys. Peace.